I touched on this skill when I talked about segmenting CVC, but today I'm talking about segmenting CCVC. If you think back to my speech sound series, and if you haven't watched it, go and have a watch. There are things called consonant blends. And this is where we have two consonant sounds together, like b and to make brr in brush. Now, there are also some instances where there are two letters that represent one sound. So I'm not actually going to be covering that in this activity because even though it is spelt CC, so for example, sh is two consonant letters next to each other, there's actually only one sound. So when I talk about CCVC words, it doesn't include sh, ch, f, anything that is just one sound that happens to be represented by two letters. So what I am talking about is the ones that have ul, or s combined with another consonant. And there are a few others as well, but they're the main three. And what can be really tricky is for them to hear both of the sounds. What you'll often find is that they reduce it down to just one of them that they can hear, that the one that is the clearest to them or the most familiar. And if you think again back to my speech sound series, you'll remember that often the thing that happens with blends when they're speaking is that they reduce it down to just one of the sounds or a completely different sound if they're having trouble pronouncing either of those sounds. If they can articulate both of these sounds, then we want to get them to be able to hear both of those sounds in the word. What I do like to do is just emphasize the sound that they're missing a little bit. And I love to get to kind of teach them that it's a really sneaky sound. It's trying to hide in there. So there's actually 4 sounds in this word, but you've only found 3. Let's see if we can find that sneaky one that's hiding in there. So if we think about the word brush, which was the example I gave, it has 4 sounds. B, sh. So yes, there are 2 consonants at the end there, S and H, if you think about the spelling. There is actually only 1 sound. So I'm counting this as a CCVC word because there are 4 sounds and those are the sounds that I can hear. So we've got b, sh. Now I want to really emphasize that because it's usually the one that's hiding in there. So I might say brush. So I didn't say bush, I said brush. Ooh, I can hear there's a little sound in there. Can you hear it? Brush. So I really like to play with the sounds in this because I'm really getting them to tune into those sounds. And we can get faster and faster and faster to the point where we say brush and then you can hear that there is a b and an in there. So let me show you the activity I'm doing for this one. So I knew I wanted to use the abacus here for this activity as soon as I got my sensory board. So I'll start off with a really simple word, and this one is a CVC word. So this is a hat and the sounds are at. So if you're introducing a new concept like I am here with the sensory board, let's just zoom that in. We're going to start with the ones that they know and go backwards a little bit just so that they can establish this skill over here before we introduce a new skill with the CCVC. So we're starting with CVC. This is a hat. The sounds are at. They can choose which of the bars they want to do and we're going to slide them across. At. Now the awesome thing about this is that by the sliding across of them, you can actually then count how many sounds there are. So that's really awesome for them to take note of. You could use the coloured ones as well because that's going to teach you even more that there are more sounds in a word or less sounds in a word based on how many colours you manage to get across. But that's it. That's as simple as it is. Gives them an idea of how to do it. Remember, they do need one-to-one correspondence. They need to be able to move something and say something at the same time. At. They could even tap it if they're not there yet, and you could also use these numbers down here again if you wanted to. So once we've really established that skill, we can then get some of our words. So I've got a frame, and the sounds in this one, I'm going to use these ones at the bottom, are f, r, a, m. Now if my child says f, a, m, I'm going to give them a clue and say, actually there are 4 sounds, and you didn't miss the end sound, you actually missed a sound right here. So these are really visual again. It's a bit like the memory games where you're really giving them a bit of a clue. So you've got f, you've got a, and you've got m, but there's a really sneaky hidden sound here. Let's see if you can hear it. Frame, frame. So this can almost become a blending task as well, where you segment all the sounds and you see if they can blend them back together, and in the process really identify that sound that's in the middle there. And then we can get another one and we can see if they can have a turn. So this is a brush, and we let them have a go, and if they can't do it, we provide the support again and we show them how to do it. And if they're really struggling over and over again, you might want to give them some success by dropping back down to a CVC word. So you can actually move up and down, and you may find that if your kids are a bit tired, that they'll find these skills more difficult, especially the new ones. So you can just move up or down depending on their mood that day, because we at least want to keep the activity positive for them and just give them lots and lots of modelling. Have fun with this one. And I mean, you don't need an abacus. You could use beads, you could use pasta threading, you could do so many different things to represent each of those sounds in the word.